Okay, so today we are going to look at the game of Ohaukwu. Ohaukwu is a 2 to 4 player game that attempts to tell the story of two nerdy entrepreneurs running their family business called Ohaukwu. They are trying to salvage their business from the economic shocks that their business is experiencing, and as well as trying to retain their stake in their company against profit-thirsty capitalists who are more interested in getting a millionfold of the money invested in the company than the company meeting up with their brand promises. Okay, so the game is played using a deck of cards like this. So a deck of cards like this can be played by 2 players for a non-diminishing decking, while for a diminishing decking 3 players can play it. Whereas if you want to play a 4-player to 6-player gameplay, you have to use 2 of these. So but for a 6-player to 8-player gameplay, that means you have to combine 3 dying deckers. Okay, so the first thing we are going to look at is the features of the playing cards. So learning about the features of the playing card is going to help you understand some other things in the game. So let's just get this done. Okay, so the features of the playing cards. First, once you get the pack of the game like this, so there are some cards that are called extra cards like this. They are not really used for the gameplay, so let's take them out. So there are like total of 6 extra cards so in there. Yes, okay, so these are them. So we take them out. So let's just keep it in. Okay, so so the features of the playing card, that is the very first thing we are going to look at. So let's just drop cards, and yeah, these 3 cards will help us understand the key features of the playing cards. So to start with, we are going to look at these features of the playing cards. Okay, so the first thing to note in the features of the playing card is these numbers here. These are called index value, and there are 2 types of index value. There is reinforcing index value and collapsing index value. So reinforcing index value is just an index value with negative sign. For instance, this particular index value -6 is a reinforcing index value. So it is kind of advantageous to a player based on the storyline, while a positive index value is called a collapsing index value. So based on this storyline, it is disadvantageous. So okay, these are the index values. So this the collapsing index value and the reinforcing index value. Okay, so that means this is also a reinforcing index value. So index value, this alphabet in a circle here is called crash time. So while this symbol here is called shock threat. So while this other number here is called buyout fund, and this other alphabet in this other side is called owner stake. So for the crash time, there are 4 crash time. There is arrow, there is E, there is A, and there is L or L. So those are the crash time in the game. Yeah. Okay. So there are 2 types of buyout fund. There is the buyout fund with a number without a plus sign. Let's look for the other type of buyout fund for you to see the difference. Okay, and this other type of buyout fund. So okay, so let's have this here. So this particular buyout fund is called a called up buyout fund. So once you get the rule book, you go towards the back here, you see the naming of each of them. So this one is the corridor buyout fund, and this one is the buyout fund. So every buyout fund has its corresponding corridor buyout fund. Okay, so this base buyout fund, for instance, has this corridor buyout fund. So the difference is that the base buyout fund just has only the number, while the corridor buyout fund has a plus sign with it, so like +9. So 9 then +9. Okay, so that is that about the two types of buyout fund, the base buyout fund and the corridor buyout fund. Okay, then as I said, here is the owner stake. So there are different type of owner stake. There's owner stake M, owner stake N, S. There is K, there is C. Then I think there is D. Yeah. There is D. So yeah, there is D. Okay, so then the next thing we look about in the features of the playing card is the shock threats. So there are 4 shock threats in the game. There is depth. So this is the symbol of depth. Each shock threat has their own unique symbol. So they represent economic shocks. So this one is depth, while this other one is slump. So the depth symbol has something like an insert, as you can see. So one of the things you try to do is to memorize each shock threat and their unique symbol. So to memorize this, just picture it like an insert. The symbol is more of like an insert, so it's a depth or depth. So while this other one is slump, there is like an arrow pointing downwards in it, so you can always check this out. So once you get the deck of the cards, is for you to get each card and memorize or get to know more about the features of each of them. So this particular symbol is for trend. So while this one is for churn. So these are technically the shock threats or the economic shocks in the game. So you can see, for instance, here is slump. It is written here slump. Okay, so then you can see for churn, you see some card where it is written at this. So for trend, it is written here, the symbol is written here. For depth, it is written here. For churn, you see a card where you see churn written on it. So there are few cards with each of these symbols written on it. Okay, so look, yeah, this one is for churn. Okay, so now that is that about the key features. So that is common with every playing card. Then the next one we are going to look at is these artworks inside each card. So each artwork has their own unique name. For instance, this art with a pattern, it is called the patent card. So this patent card plays a significant role in the game. So while this other card with the shock thread, the symbol of the shock thread in it is called the shock card. So while this other one with a logo on it, do you understand, a logo mark on it, is called a trademark card. So, and there are 4 trademarks in the game. So there is Cheiche, there is Ohaukwu. You can see the logo of Ohaukwu here. So then there is Madadin. Okay, as you can see, here is Madadin. Then there's Bucheri. So Bucheri is another trademark card in the game. So so if we just flip, we'll come across Bucheri. So you see the logo of Bucheri there. It's kind of far. It's kind of far. So, or have I skipped it? So okay, so this one is Cheiche, then this is Ohaukwu again. Yeah, this is Bucheri. Yeah, this is Bucheri. So you can see the logo of Bucheri on the card. Okay, so but as I said, once you get the rule book, if you come at the end of the game here, you see the features of the playing cards, a detailed illustration of that. Okay, so that is that about the features of the playing card. For recap, this is the index value, and there are two types: reinforcing index value and collapsing index value. This is the this is the collapsing index value, and this one is the reinforcing index value. So then this one is the crash time. So in this case, it's crash time A. So this one is the shock threat. So in this case is debt. So then here is the buyout fund. In this case is a base buyout fund 9. Then here is the owner stake M. Okay, so the features of the playing card helps us to name the playing card. For instance, this particular card is named debt 4A offer 9M. So that is how the name of this particular card based on the feature of the card. While this one is slump -6 arrow offer 9N. So it's either you just say slump -6 arrow offer 9N, or you just say slump -6 arrow 9N. So you just keep the offer. Okay, so that is about the features of the playing card. The next thing we are going to look at is the starting deck of the starting deck arrangement. So when we look at the starting deck arrangement, then the next thing we are going to do is to look at the navigation before we now move to other key aspect of the game. So the game starts by shuffling the dying decker. So then after shuffling, a player places 3 cards facing upwards, with the front facing upwards like this. Then he or she progresses to distribute 10 cards to each player. So in this case, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. Okay, then he keeps the remaining cards here. So these particular cards with their front facing up is called the operation deck, and each of these operation deck have their own unique name. So for instance, this particular operation deck is called the traitor operation deck, while this other one is called the famine operation deck, while this other one is called the Ned operation deck. So then these extra cards that are here is called the resource deck. So then the 10 cards distributed at the starting of the gameplay to each player is called the laden decker. So this laden decker is the cards that each player uses to create other decks of play. Do you understand? For instance, this is called the risk row. So then they have to now form their own player roles here. So so to do this, the first thing a player has to do is to a player can actually view it like this. So he selects 5 cards from here. So we just select, let's say okay, the very first cards he's going to use in creating okay, so yeah, before they progress into create this card, this operation decks has to be faced with the front facing downwards, so it's the back that is going to be yes. Okay, so once they have gotten their laden decker, each player is proceed to create other decks of play, their own unique decks. So starting with the company deck. So the company deck is at the extreme left of the player's row, each player's row. So each player have their own unique company deck and some other deck we'll talk about. So let's say they randomly pick 5 cards. It can be strategic, but let's say this player randomly picks 5 cards and place here. So let's say it picks let's say the player picks this card. Okay, so the player picks this card. Let's say picks this card. So the player picks this card, yeah. Let's just say he picks let's say he picks this, so it's 3, so it's 5 cards that forms the company deck in this non-diminishing decking. So so let's say he or she picks this other card. Let's say he picks this other card, yeah. So let's say he picks this other card. So okay, so but okay, let's just say this one comes back, and let's say picks this card instead. So then after the so in this case I've created my company deck, which is at my extreme left. So I'll proceed to create the commodity exchange deck and stock exchange deck of this other player, which is my opponent. So in a 2 to 3 3 or more player gameplay, I'll have to take a card from my lading deck, and my remaining lading deck. I take a card and place at the commodity exchange deck of the player at my left hand side. So after creating his or her commodity exchange deck, I'll proceed to take another card again from my lading decker and place at the stock exchange deck of the player at my right hand side. So for instance, let me just show you where the commodity exchange deck and stock exchange deck are. For an instance, let's say these two places, here is the commodity exchange deck and here is the stock exchange deck. But in this case, I'm not the one to create it for myself. It's an opponent that is going to create it for me. So let's say I take this back and I have to create the commodity and stock exchange deck of this other player. Remember that the game of Ohaukwu is telling a story. So the creating the commodity exchange deck and stock exchange deck of an opponent, or simply the exchange decks of an opponent, is in line with the story that the game of Ohaukwu is trying to tell. Okay, let's say I just pick this card and place it at let's say the commodity exchange deck of this player, and I take this other card and let's say I place it at the stock exchange deck of this player. So okay, so I've created his or commodity exchange deck and stock exchange deck. So the next thing is that I'm going to create the next deck I'm going to create in my own case is my break-even deck. So let's say I pick this card and place on my break-even deck, and I pick this other card and I form my leverager deck. So this is the break-even deck, the leverager deck. So then this remaining other card, I'll use it to create my ideation deck. So if you get the rule book and you go through, you see this arrangement here, this starting arrangement. So here is the starting arrangement, while there is the in-game arrangement when all the whole decks have come into play. So in this case, you can see this particular setting where some decks are still missing. Okay, so so this I've finished my own starting setup. So this other player will proceed to create take 5 cards and create their own what's it called, starting with their company deck. So let's just say just pick 5 random cards. So let's just say the player just pick 5 random cards. Okay, let's say just pick 5 random cards. Let's just 1, 2. Okay, let's say 1, 2. Let's say 3. Okay, so let's say just pick 5 random cards. So how many is here? So far 4. So let's just give him or her another just 1. So let's say he picks 5 random cards and creates his or her company deck. So after creating his or her company deck, the next thing is for he or she to create my own exchange deck, starting with the commodity exchange deck. But if it's a 3-player game or a 4-player game, note that you just take 1 card from your lading decker and place at the commodity exchange deck of the player at your left hand side, while you take another card from the remaining landing deck are placed at the stock exchange deck of the player at your right hand side. Okay, so just the way to memorize it, just know that since the commodity exchange deck is ideally here, let's say just here, and this other one is here, so this is at this commodity is at deck is on my left hand side, whereas this stock exchange deck is at my right hand side. So in creating that of an opponent, I will have to take one card and place at the commodity exchange deck of the player of my left hand side. So in this case, it's a two-player game. So this starting second player is creating my own. So I'm both the player at his right hand side and left hand side. So let's say he or she picks let's say this card and places here, and pick this other card and places here. Okay. So let's say this is the setup. So after creating my commodity and stock exchange deck, let's say he or she progresses to pick a card here and places at his or her ideation deck, then one card to his or her break even deck, and one other card to his or her leverager deck. So we'll talk more about the break even deck and the leverager deck much later. So but for now, in the non-diminishing deck, in which is the particular gameplay we are playing, we are not really touching it, but still we have to create it. Okay, so once this player has created my commodity exchange deck and stock exchange deck and created his own, so I think the game will progress. So that's that. Okay, so after he or she has created my commodity exchange deck and stock exchange deck, he or she will progress to create his break-even deck and leverager deck. So to do this, let's create some space here for the player. So he takes, let's say, one card here, and let's say he just places it here. This should be his commodity, his break-even deck, while this other one should be his leverager deck, and this should be his ideation deck. Okay, so then these cards in the stock exchange deck and commodity exchange deck would have their the face of the card facing upwards, while we have the face of the card facing upward. Then the operation decks, we now have to turn them with facing upwards also. Okay, so that is that. These are the starting decks of play. So but as the game progresses, there are some other decks that will come into play, so I will talk briefly about them. One is the division deck. The division deck is directly below the company deck, so it has to be here, while the subsidiary deck has to be here. So these are another deck. These are two other decks that has to come for during the course of play in a player's row. Then the depreciation deck that needs to be here. Okay, so that is that about the stacking deck arrangement. So for recap, let's rename the deck again for you to understand. So these ones are called the operation decks, and each of them have their own unique name. So this particular one is called the creator operation deck. This one is called the famine operation deck, while this particular one is called the nerd operation deck. So this is called the resource deck. So this one is called the company deck. These two are called exchange decks. So, and there are two types: commodity exchange deck, which is the one at your left hand side, and the stock exchange deck, which is the one at the right hand side. These two decks play a very significant role during the course of play. So, and we'll talk about them. So then these other two, this is the break-even deck, and this one is the leverager deck, while this is the addition deck. So with that, now knowing these decks, each player have their own unique company deck, exchange deck, break-even deck, leverager deck and ideation deck. So now to play the game happens majorly in the company deck. So the company deck and the show deck is where the major play happens. So, and from the company deck and operation deck, other interaction with other decks happens. So now let's talk about navigation. Navigation is how cards can be played on another. So for a card to be played on another, they have to have either the same index value, the same buyout fund, or the same owner stake. So, but you can always reference the rule book. So the rule book has all these details. Do you understand? So, for instance, you go to navigation, you read it up. Do you understand? And stuff like that. So cards of the same index value, buyout fund, and owner stake can be played on another. For instance, if I have this particular card, where can I possibly play it? So I can't play it here because they have two different index value. This one is -8, while this one particular card has index value 8. So I can't play it here. For the buyout fund of this one is a called up buyout fund +9, while this one is 5. I can't play it here. The owner stake is S, while this other one is C. So I can't play it there. So the same thing happens here. Okay, for the index value buyout fund, I can't. But for the owner stake, I can actually play it here because they have the same owner stake. This particular card has owner stake S, and this particular card has owner stake XS. So I can actually play it here. So once a player makes a play, are you getting it? It is now up to the next player to play. But since I'm the starting player that shuffled and distributed the game, so for the first player to actually make a play will be the person at my right hand side. So mainly because the game moves rotates in an anti-clockwise direction or an anti-clockwise direction. So it rotates from the right to the left. So the person at the right hand side of the starting first player who shuffled and distributed the card to each player will start the gameplay. So in this case, this starting second player will have to start the game. So let's say he or she decides to play. So and let's say he decides to play this card. Can it play here? Yes, it can play here because of they have the same owner stake C. So but they have different index value, different buyout fund, but because of same owner stake, they can be played on another. So let's say he or she decides to play. So the moment he or she plays, he has to pick one card from the resource deck and refill. So once he does this, the next player has to play, which in this case is now my own instance of play it's now my own instance to play. So I'll have to play. So for me to play, I try to see where I can possibly play. So okay, let's say I play here. So because I can actually play here, so to play here, the condition I'm using is the same buyout fund. So they have this card have buyout fund 9, while this other card buyout fund 9. So I decide to play here. So the moment I play, I pick a card and refill. So you see, playing on the operation deck is not for playing sake. Players are playing with two major objectives in mind. One is to make what is called a boarding operation, while the other one is to make what is called a boardiner operation. So now there are a whole lot of boarding operation and boardiner operations in the game, but we are going to focus on two mainly. And the two we are going to talk about today is bridging crash and downsizing buyout. So okay, so when you get the rule book, you see it. So you come to boarding operations, then you see there are a whole lot of them. So but we are going to focus on bridging crash and downsizing buyout. Okay, so bridging crash and so there is acquisition, there is optimization, there is franchising, there is patenting. Yeah, so then for boarding operation, there is internalization, there is globalization, then there is call out. Okay, so now bridging crash and downsizing buyout. So by adventure, playing on this particular net operation deck had actually made me to make one boarding operation, and the boarding operation I made is called downsizing buyout. So now you have to understand what downsizing buyout is. So by definition, downsizing buyout is when a player makes a claim on the operation deck such that the two cards next to each other, or the two cards at the extreme of the operation deck, comprises of cards, two cards that has an index value that is either a multiplier, a divisor, a multiplicand, or a dividend of the other. For instance, this particular index value 8 is a dividend. Okay, this particular index value minus 4 is a divisor of divisor of 8, while this particular index value 8 is a multiplier of index value minus 4. For instance, minus 4 multiplied by minus 2 is going to give us 8. So being that it is a result gotten from multiplying this particular index value with another number, then it is a multiplier. So whether it is a multiplier, a divisor, or a multiplicand, or a dividend, it has fulfilled that particular condition. That is one condition that the two cards has to have to make a downsizing buyout. Okay, so by adventure, making a play on the net operation deck had enabled me made a boarding operation, and in this case, the boarding operation that I have made is called a downsizing buyout. So I'm going to explain what a downsizing buyout is. So by definition, a downsizing buyout is when a player had made a play on the operation deck such that two cards next to each other, or at the two extreme, have comprises of cards that have index value that is either a multiplier, a multiple, a divisor, a multiplicand, or a dividend of the other. So be it a reinforcing index value or a collapsing index value. Okay, so in this case, it is these two extreme decks of play, these operation decks. So which this one has the index value minus 4, while this one has index value 8. So and they are the two extreme. So should in case they were like this, they are staying next to each other. So or this other way, they are staying next to each other. So but let's just so this other way, they are staying next to each other. So but let's just say it was just like this, which it is. Okay, so in this case, it is happening at the creative operation deck and the net operation deck. Okay, so by definition, again, is when if downsizing buyout is when a player makes a play on the operation deck such that the two cards stay next to each other, or at the two extreme have an index value such that one is either a multiplier, a divisor, or a multiplicand, or a multiple, or a dividend of the other. So in this case, minus 4 is a divisor of 8. So like 4 minus 4 can divide 8 without a remainder, whereas 8 is a multiple of 4. So that is one of the conditions of making a downsizing buyout, which in this case a downsizing on the operation deck. So the other condition is that beside having index value that one is a multiplier, a divisor, a multiple, a multiplicand, or dividend of the other, the next thing is that they are going to have different crash time. In this case, this particular card at the net operation deck has a crash time A, whereas this other card has crash time L. So so they are going to have a different crash time. So then the next condition is that they are going to have a different owner stake. In this case, this particular card at the net operation deck has owner stake K, whereas this other card at the creative operation deck has owner stake C. Okay, so those are the three conditions of creating a downsizing on the operation deck. So downsizing is just one phase of the downsizing buyout. So after making the downsizing, the player will proceed to make a buyout. So for now, let's look at the first condition we talked about. We have to check here is the crash time. So I mean the index value. So in this case, 4 is a divisor of -8. -4 is a divisor of 8, and 8 is a multiple of this. So the next one we are going to look at is the crash time. Okay, so the next condition that the player is going to fulfill is the crash time. So the two cards which he or she is trying to use to make the downsizing buyout has to have different crash time. So in this case, I'm looking at a crash time happening between this particular net operation deck and this creator operation deck. So in this case, they have different crash time. So in this particular deck here has crash time A, while this one has crash time L. So that is that. So they have fulfilled two conditions so far, having an index value that is a multiplier. But in this particular case, it is they are both multiplier, and one is a multiplier of the other, and while this one is a divisor of the other one. So that is the condition they have fulfilled. So then a different crash time. So the next thing is that they have to have different owner stake. In this case, this particular net operation deck has owner stake K, while this particular creator operation deck has owner stake C. So that is they have fulfilled three conditions so far. So the fourth one, the fourth condition they have to fulfill is having a buyout fund that is either the same or having a buyout fund that is staying next to a corresponding called up buyout fund. So it's either the two cards have the same buyout fund, or one is the called up buyout fund of the other. So in this case, this +9 is the called up buyout fund of this base buyout fund 9. Okay, so with that now, a downsizing has been made on the operation deck. So to make a downsizing buyout, it consists of two phases. One is to make downsizing on the operation deck, which we just did. So now to claim the full downsizing buyout, the advantage player has to proceed to make what is called a buyout. Do you understand? On either his commodity exchange deck or stock exchange deck. So to navigate on this commodity exchange deck or stock exchange deck is called crowning. So and there are rules for crowning. So for a downsizing buyout, the rule for a downsizing buyout, crowning on a downsizing buyout or a buyout is different from when it is a bridging crash or making a crash. So for a downsizing buyout, for crowning to be made here, for you to play on either of these, the card has to have either the same buyout fund or owner stake. So in this case, we look at cards in our company deck and see where it can be played. For instance, this can be played here on the commodity exchange deck. So, and we don't have a card that can actually play on the stock exchange deck. But again, there is a rule for downsizing on the operation deck. If either of the card that constituted the downsizing has a crash time L in it or L in it, it means that navigation has to be exclusive to or restricted to the commodity exchange deck alone. That means the player will not have the option to either crown here, make a navigation crowning on the commodity exchange deck or the stock exchange deck. Instead, the player is limited to navigate only on the commodity exchange deck. So in this case, there is a crash time L here, so which means we can only navigate on the commodity exchange deck. So I take this particular card, and I can either use this card to navigate here, to crown here, or I can use this other card since it has the same buyout fund. So let's use this. So I use this to navigate. So then I pick and replace. So now the moment I've done this, I've concluded my claim of the downsizing buyout. So now the advantage of making a downsizing buyout or any other boarding operation is that it gives you opportunity to make a play on these operation decks here, and this operation decks helps you to either win the game or draw the game. Accumulating card to the commodity exchange decks helps a player to draw the game, while accumulating card to the stock exchange deck enables a player to win the game. So for a player to win the game, he has to accumulate a total of 4 cards on this stock exchange deck, while for a player to end the game as a draw, he or she has to accumulate up to 4 cards to the commodity exchange deck. So in this case, there are 2 cards here, so the player now needs 2 more cards for the game to come to an end. So at the end of the game, or at the exit of the game, each player will have to now compare the cards accumulated to their commodity exchange deck against the one accumulated to their stock exchange deck to know if they have won the game. For instance, if the game comes to an end here right now, this player may end the game as a draw, given that you have to sum the fund value of each game, that is the buyout fund. So which is in this case is now called the fund value. So this fund value is now 9 plus 9 plus 9, which is plus 18. So the player had accumulated a buyout fund of or a fund value of 18 here on the commodity exchange deck, which is higher than this, which is 5. So for him to win the game, he has to accumulate more than 18 on this stock exchange deck. So now you see this other player, this 32nd player, has in his commodity exchange deck, he had accumulated from the beginning of the game a fund value 1, while this other fund value is plus 5 on his stock exchange deck. Okay. So that is that. So now that is about navigation. So but another important navigation we haven't talked about is on the ideation deck. So the game for the gameplay which we omitted actually. So a player is to play 2 cards in this instance of play. One is at the operation deck, while the other is at the ideation deck. So to play on the ideation deck, the condition of navigation is cards of the same with the same index value, buyout fund, owner stake, and crash time can be played on another. For instance, this player can decide to play this here because they have the same buyout fund plus 5. So but let's say you want to navigate with owner stake. Is it possible he or she can navigate with owner stake? So I doubt. So I think it's only this. So he navigates and he replaces. So failing to navigate 2 times completely has an implication. So after playing, it's now after concluding this play on the operation deck and use our ideation deck, it's now left for this other player to play. So this other player plays by looking for where to make a play. So he picks and sees what he or she can do. Exactly. Okay, so can this play? Where can this play? It can't play here. It can't play. It can play here. So, but let's look for another card and see where it can play. Can it play? It can't play. Let's look for another card and see where it can play. It can't play. Let's look for. Okay, this other card can actually play here. So let's just say he plays here. He picks a card. Then he has to play. He or she has to play on his ideation deck. That's what we omitted before. So let's he has to play to conclude. So he makes 2 instances of play, one on his or her operation deck, or one on the operation deck and the other one on his or her unique ideation deck. Each player has their own unique ideation deck. So he picks a card, maybe randomly. Okay, he navigates this. So the condition here is same crash time E. Okay, so when the player has made a play on his or her ideation deck using this particular card, since they have the same crash time, so it's my own instance of play. So let's say I pick a card and let's say I make a play. Where can I possibly play with this? Okay, so let's say I decide to play here because of same owner stake S. Okay, so I can make a play here. So I can also decide to make a play here, but since it is the same buyout fund +9 and +9, so but I can't make a play here using buyout fund +9 because this other one is 9. So this base buyout for 9 can't be used. This base buyout for 9 doesn't permit me to use this called up buyout fund +9 on it. So +9 has to correspond with +9 to be played on, while 9 has to correspond with 9. 1 has to correspond with 1 for navigation. Okay, so let's say I decide to make a play here. Then I pick a card and I refill. Then I will now proceed to make a play on my ideation deck. So let's just say I pick let's say I use this card. Let's say I make a play based on the crash time A. So let's say I pick here and play. Okay, so there are occasions where a crash time is not used as a condition to play on the ideation deck. Instead, it is only the index value, the buyout fund, and the owner stake. So for sake of simplicity, we are using the crash time as also a condition of navigation on the ideation deck. Okay, so after making a play, I have to check if I've made a boarding or a boarding operation here. So in this case, I have made a downsizing buyout. So using the paramount operation deck and the net operation deck. So yeah, similar like what we did before. In this case, -4 and index value -4 and index value 8. So once you are playing, your eyes has to be on this index value, crash time, buyout fund, and owner stake to across these operation decks to see if you have made a possible boarding operation. So in this case, it is a downsizing buyout. So the downsizing buyout has 3 conditions. So as we have noted before, so one is having an index value that is either a multiplier, divisor, multiple, dividend, or a multiplicand of the other. In this case, 8 is a multiple of -4, and -4 is a divisor of 8. And they have different crash time. In this case, it is crash time A for this card in the net operation deck, while this one in the paramount operation deck is crash time L. So then they also have different owner stake, care and owner stake. S. Okay, so so I think that is that for the condition of downsizing buyout. Okay, so then I make a play here, which I've made a play. I pick a card and I refill. So that is that. So far we haven't talked about the break-even deck and the leverager deck. So this is because we are focusing our learning on downsizing buyout and bridging crash. So we are not going to use it for now. So it is when you are looking at other boarding operation, that's where they come into play. But irrespective, they still have to be here. Okay, so given that the downsizing has been made on the operation deck, the next thing is the crowning. So the crowning has to be made on either the commodity exchange deck or stock exchange deck. But first, we have to see if the downsizing was made with a crash time L. So in this case, it was made with a crash time L. So that means the crowning, the navigation crowning on the exchange deck has to be limited to the commodity exchange deck alone. So now to navigate, given a downsizing buyout, it is part of the same with the same buyout fund or the same buyout fund or owner stake can be played on another. So let's look for where we can. So okay, this can. So okay, let's play. So it can because of owner stake N and owner stake N. So then we navigate here. So then we refill. Okay, so since we have already made our navigation here, so it's now the instance of this other player to play. So then this other player progresses to make a play. Okay, so where can he or she possibly play? So where can he or she possibly play? So can he play here? No. Okay, so what about here can play. So let's say he or she makes a play here, and makes a play, picks a card and refill. Then he or she tries to make a play here again. So he or she tries to make a play here again. So to make a play here, this owner stake, buyout fund, index value, and crash time. So let me use see what I can use to navigate. So let's say, what can I navigate? Is there a buyout fund, +5? There's no +5 here. You see, I can't use 5 on the +5 because they are not the same. So then okay, I know definitely crash time can go. So yeah, but I'm looking at other possible one. I think it's only this we can use. Crash time E. So then the player refuses. Then the player checks if a possible this thing has been made. But another omission we have made so far again is once a player makes a downsizing buyout, he or she is going to gain 3 cards to his division deck. So yeah, it's an omission we made. So, and it's a very important thing to note. So, and this player had made he or she had made two downsizing buyouts. So he's going to gain 2 times. So, but because the maximum number of cards that can be gained to the division deck is 4, so he's going to gain the whole 4. So this other player had, let me see, I think he or she had made another downsizing buyout here because 2 is a divisor of 6. 6 is a multiplier of 2. Different crash time. Then different crash time, then different owner stake, then buyout fund, a base buyout fund with its corresponding called up buyout fund. So he or she had made a downsizing buyout, so he's going to gain cards. How did this get here? Sorry. So this should be here. So oops, sorry, this should be 5, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5. Yeah. So this player, so this is the resource deck. Okay, so so the first thing the person is going to do is to gain 3 cards. Okay, he or she hasn't finished making the claim. So the player has to make the claim, the full claim first. So to do this, he has done downsizing. The next thing is to proceed to make a buyout. So the buyout now, since there is a crash time L, so it is restricted to the commodity exchange deck, which is this particular one here. So look for how to play. So yeah, so this can play based on the condition of navigation is either same buyout fund or owner stake. So then let's say he or she plays here. Okay, so then he picks a card and refuses. So then you gain 3 cards to his or her own unique division deck. Okay, so now you see, now with the division deck, we can decide to play with the division deck. So this is me explaining what the division deck is and how it comes in handy in the game. A player can decide to play with card either from his or her company deck or division deck if he or she had accumulated card to the division deck. So the division deck is just like a supporting deck of the company deck, but you can't mix it up. So instead, you can decide to either make a play using this particular deck, or you use your company deck. So with that, let's say this particular player decides to make a play here. So the condition of play I'm using is the same owner stake. So with owner stake D, owner stake T, I can make a play here. So the moment I make a play, yeah. So then, so next time I make a play, I pick and refill. Then after refilling, I can now decide to make another navigation here. So this is me trying to use the division deck here. So but if I don't have any card on the division deck to make a navigation here, I can move to the company deck. So that is the importance of having a division deck. So okay, so can anything move here on the division? Yes, it can. 3 can play here. So 3 can play here. So but let's say let me use it. So I decide to make a play, I pick and refill again. Then the next thing is to make navigation crowning. So in this case, there is the downsizing buyout that was made, because I made the downsizing buyout here. 3 is a multiplier of is a divisor of 6, and 6 is a multiplier of 3. So in that case, I fulfill the first condition. The second one is different owner stake, crash time, which in this case is crash time E and crash time R. So then different owner stake N, owner stake D, and in this case it is the same buyout fund 9 and buyout fund 9, which means I fulfilled the necessary conditions. So I'll have to navigate now, do navigation crowning on either my commodity exchange deck or stock exchange deck. So because maybe I'm trying to win the game, of course I'll try to navigate on the what's it called? I'll try to navigate on the stock exchange deck, because that is the deck that makes me to win the game, that enables me to win the game. So to navigate on the stock exchange deck, cards of the same buyout fund or owner stake can be played on another. So I decide to use this. Then I pick a card and refill. Okay, so another mission we made, which we are going to talk about, is for every time a player makes a successful boarding operation like a downsizing buy or bridging card, he or she is going to gain cards to his or her depreciation deck. So for every of those time a depreciation deck is going to be created, one card from the resource deck is going to be placed on the depreciation deck. And so far we have made about 3 or 4 of such. So but let's just start, let it start counting now. But I want to use this opportunity to explain what the depreciation deck is. At the beginning of the game, all players will determine or decide the maximum number of cards to be gained to the depreciation deck. Let's assume it is 4 cards they decide that is the maximum that is going to be gained to the depreciation deck. The moment this number is reached, the game will come to an end, and every player has to compare the card they had gained to their commodity exchange deck, stock exchange deck, if there is this other subsidiary deck, leverager break-even deck or leverager deck, to ascertain the winner. So what it means is that this depreciation deck brings the game to an abrupt end once the mark has been reached. Let's say it's 4 cards, the side is 2 cards, the side is 3 cards, 8 cards, is all determined at the beginning of the gameplay. So let's assume in this case we just determine that it's 4 cards. Okay, so that is that. Okay, so this player had finished playing, is now up to this other player to play. So the game goes on and on and on. Do you understand? So let's say this player tries to play. Okay, he or she had created card here. So but let's see, he or she tries to make a play, a very play that would help him or her win the game. So but can't play. So let's say it's not, so what he or she wants to do is not working here. It's not working, so he picks the division deck. So that is the advantage of the division deck. It gives you more options to play, more options of play. Yeah, so it gives you more options of play. So a player can decide to actually make a play here. Yes, so this player can make a play here. So yeah, so but making a play here, let's just say he or she decides to make a play here, picks a card and refuse. Then it's now time to play here. You can play here with the same cash time E. Do you understand? So then you can play with the same buyout fund 5. You see. So let's say you decide to use buyout fund to play. Then he picks a card here and refill. So he picks a card here and refill. So as you can see, after 2, 4, you see I picked the card before, so this should be here because the first refill after making a play. So you see we have run short of cards on the resource deck. So once this happens, a new resource deck has to be created, and that is called rebasing. So for rebasing to be made, the prevailing cards on the operation deck has to be taken and aside and create a new one out of it. Then we accumulate. Then we go to each player's ideation deck and pick the cards underneath and keep the prevailing one. So okay, then we now take all the remaining cards, we shuffle, then we place. Then for every rebasing that is done, one card has to go to the depreciation deck. So and there are 2 types of rebasing. There is rigid rebasing and there is collapse rebasing. But first, before we get to that, remember that this player has to refill his or her card since we have created a new resource deck. Okay, so rigid rebasing, like the typical rebasing we just did right now, is called rigid rebasing. It's called rigid rebasing because the number of operation decks remain the same. It did not change. So though we are going to limit our learning to rigid rebasing for now. So but let me just show you like what happens in a collapse rebasing. So in a collapsing rebasing, what happens is that once the first rebasing is done, the creator operation deck has to be taken away. Then when another rebasing is done, the paramount operation deck has to be taken away. Then when another rebasing is done, that is creating another resource deck is done, we have to introduce the paramount deck again. Then when another rebasing is done again, we have to now reintroduce the creator operation deck. So that is how how a collapsing rebasing is done. So if you go through the rule book, you are going to see it somewhere here. You are going to see somewhere here. You are going to see about rebasing. So somewhere around navigation, that's where you are going to see rebasing. Yeah, somewhere you are going to read about rebasing. Okay, so okay, that is that for rebasing. So let's continue the play. I think it was who made the last instance of play. This player was the last person to make an instance of play, so it's my own turn to make an instance of play. So let me say I decide to go here to make a play. I'm trying to see what I can possibly do. I'm trying to see what I can possibly do. Can this play anywhere? Can this play anywhere? Can this play anywhere? It can't. It would have been beautiful if it can. It can't. Can it play? Can it play? Yeah, it can play here. Yeah. Okay, it can play here. Same index value. So yeah, so I make a play here, then I pick a card, then I refill, then I have to make a play here also. So so I have to make a play here. So let me just say I make a play here, then I pick a card, then I refill. So I now look at the operation deck to note if I have made any boarding operation, and in this case I have made a bridging crash. So I've made a bridging on the operation deck. So bridging is the other boarding operation that we will have to look at, so or wanted to look at. So I have to define what a bridging is. So because when you are playing the game, you are strategically trying to make these things, this bridging crash, downsizing, buyout, acquisition, patenting, you are deliberately trying to make them happen on the operation deck and maybe the ideation deck, because some boarding operation requires both the ideation deck and operation deck. So so now I have kind of made a bridging on the operation deck. So let me define what a bridging is. A bridging is a claim made on the operation deck such that cards that has an index value that is either exactly twice greater or exactly twice lesser are staying next to each other or at the two extremes of the operation deck. In this case, they are the two extremes of the operation deck. If they were like this, they are next to each other because we are using these two particular decks. So these two particular decks is what have made the bridging crash, or the bridging, which is the first stage of bridging crash. So so in this case 3 is exactly twice lesser than 6, and 6 is exactly twice greater than 3. So the next thing is that they have to have the same crash time. In this case, this particular card has a crash time E, while this other card has a crash time E also. So they have the same crash time. Then the next thing is to look at the shock threat. So they have to have different shock threats. In this case, this particular card has shock threat depth, while this other one has churn. So you can see it is written here depth, and here it's written churn. Okay, so in some instances it may not be there, but it may not be written here because maybe the something other things are written there. Yes, so but these symbols are always present for you to know. So that's why memorizing the symbols of each unique shock threat is very important. Okay, so the first condition of making a bridging crash is they have to have index value that is either a two different index value. They can't be the same index value. They have to be two different. It's very important to note. So in this case, there are two different index value and they are a multiplier, or in this case exactly twice greater or exactly twice lesser. So if these two cards are fulfilled that first condition, the second one is that they have to have the same crash time, and in this case crash time E and crash time E, which means this creator operation deck and the net operation deck have fulfilled these two conditions. Then the final and the third condition is they have to have different shock threats. In this case it is shock threat depth and shock threat churn. Okay, so then after bridging has been made on the operation deck, the next thing is to make a crash on either of the exchange deck, either the commodity exchange deck or the stock exchange deck. If it was a bridging that was done with a crash time L, that means the navigation crowning is going to be done only or exclusively on the commodity exchange deck. But in this case it is crash time E, which gives us the option to either make a play here or make a navigation crowning here. So now can decide to use this our commodity exchange deck, our company deck I mean, or our division deck to make this crowning. So let's say I decide to use this particular deck to make the crowning. So the moment I pick it up, if I don't have a card that can make the crowning, I can decide to switch here. So that is the beautiful thing about having a division deck. So to make navigation crowning on either of this exchange deck for a bridging crash, the condition is that cards of the same index value or crash time can be played on another. That is the condition of navigation crowning on the exchange deck. So in this case, this card can actually be played here because it has the same crash time E. While this one can be played here because it has the same crash time arrow, and also the same index value -6. So you see, but the moment we decide to navigate here, the game is going to come to an end if we do that, because so far we have accumulated 3 cards here and we just need 4 cards for the game to come to an end. So but if we do that, it means that the game will come to a draw because it is card accumulated to the commodity exchange deck. You understand? So I will just try to navigate here. So because card accumulated to the stock exchange deck is what enables me to win. So now let me say I decide to navigate here, but I'm trying to see how I'm going to accumulate some reasonable buyout fund or fund value. So if I'm to place this can be played here, but the buyout fund is just +1. So I'm trying to be strategic so that I will increase my accumulated buyout fund here. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to be strategic at this point. So cards of the same crash time. Okay, you see in this case, okay, yeah, -6. Index value -6. It can be played here, but now you see the crash time is the buyout fund or the here is 9. So the moment I play it, I have accumulated more, so I pick and yes. So okay, let's look at the commodity deck and the stock exchange deck. So accumulating up to 4 cards at the commodity exchange deck automatically ends the game as a draw, whereas accumulating 4 cards to the stock exchange deck ends the game as a win. But ending this game as a win by accumulating card on a player's stock exchange deck is dependent on the cards that the player had prior accumulated to his or her commodity exchange deck, and the card an opponent has accumulated to his or her own commodity exchange deck. So for a player to win after accumulating 4 cards to his stock exchange deck, the funder value, which is the sum of all the fund values in the commodity exchange deck, has to be 2 times lesser than whatever he has accumulated here, the summation of this other funder value here. So when you look at the fund values here and you sum them up, these cards at the commodity exchange deck is always twice lesser in value, in face value, than the face value of the stock exchange deck. That means, let's say you have this plus this is 10. What it means is that the face value is 10, whereas the intrinsic value, when you are comparing it to the stock exchange deck, is 5, not 10. So the face value in this case, maybe you are seeing 10, but that is the face value. When you are comparing it with the stock exchange deck of your own stock exchange deck, it becomes 5, not 10. So the face value is always higher than the intrinsic value when you are comparing. So whereas this one retains its face value. So the face value of this one is let's say in this case, this plus this is 14. So the intrinsic value is also 14. So that means this commodity exchange deck is always twice lesser than the stock exchange deck of a player, whereas the commodity exchange deck of an opponent is 1.5 times lesser than that of an opponent. So in this case, let's say this other player's own is, let's say this plus this is 10. So if 1.5 of 10 should be somewhere around, let's say maybe 6, 7 or thereabout, between 6, 7. So not really 5. So when you do 1.5 of a 10, so let's say you just do 10, 1.5 of a 10, that should give you around 6, between 6 point something or thereabouts. Yeah. So that is that. At face value, the commodity exchange deck is always greater than the stock exchange deck is always greater than the commodity exchange deck. For that of a player, it is the commodity stock exchange deck is 2 times greater than the commodity exchange deck, whereas it is 1.5 times greater than that of an opponent. So in a 2 or 3 or more player game, each of them have to individually compare the card they had accumulated to their commodity exchange deck against the stock exchange deck of a player, should in case the player had accumulated up to 4, that brings the game to an end. Okay, so so that is to say that the commodity exchange deck tries to wager the game to a draw. So a player accumulating card to the commodity exchange deck tries to wager the game to a draw. So and there are other decks that perform similar action like the commodity exchange deck, and that is the break-even deck. So whereas the other decks that perform similar action just like the stock exchange deck, that is the break-even deck here and the leverager deck. So we just sum their fund values, in which in this case becomes the funder Abuakudn or funder value, while this one is funder Abuakudn. Okay, so Abuakudn and Abuakudn is something we look at more later, so forget the naming, just understand that when you sum fund values, it becomes funder values. Okay, so I've played, so it's the time instance of this other player to make a play. So let's say the player picks a game, let's say he plays here. Okay, can he play here? Yeah, he can play here. There's index value 5, and there's buyout fund 5, and there's buyout fund 5. So he can play here. Okay, so but this cannot play here. Okay, so can he? Yeah, he can play with this one. So but let's just say he decides to make a play here and he picks a card and refill. Okay, so then he or she has to make a play here. Let's say a player, because of using the same crash time. So crash time R and crash time R. Let's say he uses that and he makes a play here. Okay, so then then the next thing is okay. Yeah, sorry, he has made a play here before. Yeah, so crash time R and crash time R. So okay, so let's say make the play crash time R. I don't know which one is this. So then the next thing is to check if he or she has made a boarding operation on the operation deck, and in this case he has made a bridging crash. This player had made a bridging crash. So it is a bridging crash because it has fulfilled the condition of a bridging crash. So by definition, a bridging crash is when a player had made a play on the operation deck such that two cards of the same index value, or an index value that is exactly twice greater or twice lesser than the other, is staying next to each other on the show deck, and at the same time the two cards have to have the same crash time, which in this case is crash time E, and also they have to have different shock threats. Okay, that means we can see that it didn't really happen here because they have to have different shock threats. Yeah, they have to have different shock threats. So they have to have different shock threats. So I think that is that. So the game goes on and on and on and on and on until it comes to an end. It comes to an end when 4 cards have been accumulated to either the stock exchange deck, or 4 cards accumulated to the commodity exchange deck. Should in case there is a break-even subsidiary deck here, then it also brings the game to an end. So if we were using the break-even deck or the leverager deck, also it puts the game to an end. Okay, so yeah, that's that. So now let's say is this other instance of this is my own instance of play, and I pick up my company deck to play, and yes, I may really have something to play, but let's pretend that I don't have anything to play. So in the game of Ohaukwu, once a player doesn't have anything to play, he or she is going to lose cards. So let's say I don't have anything to play. Let's say on the operation deck, I will have to debase 1 card from here. I will have to debase 1 card. So by debasing 1 card, I will have to place it underneath here. Yes, so that is debasing. So for not having anything to play, I'm going to debase card. Then my opponents are going to gain card also. So they are going to gain 2 cards to either their company deck, are you getting it, or their stock exchange. So in this case, this player's company division deck or a company deck are filled up, so it doesn't really have to gain. So another thing is that since I am required to make 2 play and I didn't have something to play, let's assume that I don't have something to play again. The same thing is going to happen. I'm going to debase 1 card from my company deck. Do you understand? So then it gives the player to gain card. If it was 1 card I debase, it gives that other opponent the opportunity of gaining 1 card to either their company deck or division deck. Why if it was 2 cards, they will stand a chance to gain up to 2 cards to either their company deck or division deck. But if I decide to, maybe it's I don't have anything to play and I have a division deck, so instead of me losing cards from my company deck, which is very important to me, I may decide to lose cards. Are you getting it? Instead of 1 card from my company deck, I will lose 2 cards from my what's it called, division deck. So in the rule of the game, the division deck can be less than 1, but the company deck can be less than 1, and it can be more than 5 at any point in time in the game. Yes. So then remember that once a player makes a bridging crash outside navigating on his or her company deck or commodity exchange deck or stock exchange deck, he or she is going to gain cards also. For a bridging crash, he's going to gain 2 cards from the resource deck to his or her division deck. So we haven't been accumulating cards to this division deck because it's 4 in number, which is the maximum it can be. Do you understand? Except in this case where it is 3. So this person can actually gain 1 more to complete. So that is an added advantage of making a bridging crash. For a bridging crash, you gain two cards to your division deck, while for a downsizing buyout, you see 3 cards you gain from the resource deck to your division deck. So okay, so that is that. So then the deck we haven't talked about, the break-even deck and the leverager deck. This comes from other instance of other boarding operations. So it enables a player to, this one enables the player to put the game to a draw. This one enables the player to win the game, just like the stock exchange deck. This one behaves just like the commodity exchange deck, but in a slightly different way. So, but we are not talking about that because we are limiting our learning on bridging, crash, and downsizing buyout. So the next deck here that should be here is the subsidiary deck. So it is other boarding operation that as well brings it to life. So these are best that comes in as the game progresses. So okay, so the rule book is what you always consult. It has a lot of details that we can't possibly explain due to time. So but just know that this game will just keep going on and on until either the commodity exchange deck reaches a total of 4 cards accumulated to it. Here it is 3 for this particular player, or it reaches 4 here. So so that is that, or the depreciation deck reaches the specified number. Let's say we decide it's 5. So if it's the total number of cards accumulated here is 5, the game comes to an end. Then we now compare, each player will compare their commodity cards accumulated to their commodity exchange deck against the one accumulated to their stock exchange deck. The one that is higher will prevail over the other. So if the fund value accumulated here is higher than this, 2 times higher than this, that means, are you getting it? It is is going to prevail over this other one. This fund value accumulated to the stock exchange deck. Okay, so then it's either we are using fund value to ascertain the winner, or we are using what is called a funder Abuakudn Okerio. So a funder Abuakudn Okerio is just the accumulated fund value. For instance, the fund value in this particular game is this plus this plus this. So this plus this is 5. This buyout fund plus this buyout fund is 10, plus this is 19. So now to get the Abuakudn Okerio, we'll now check the board value that we got during the game. So board values are a predefined value attached to each boarding operation you make. For instance, for making a bridging crash, the board value is +6, while when a player makes a downsizing buyout, it is +8. So I think this player made like 2 so this player made around about 2 or 3, let's say 3 downsizing buyout and 1 bridging crash. So that is bridging crash has a board value of 6. So 6 plus 3 downsizing buyout, which has a board value of +8. So 8 times 3 is 24. So 24 plus 6 is giving us 30. So that 30 now is the accumulated board value. So that board value has to be multiplied by this fund value, which is 19, to get the funder value. So you now do 19 times 30. That will now give us the funder Abuakudn Okerio. Why an Abuakudn Okerio is the one you use when it is the fund value in the commodity exchange deck compared, are you getting it, to multiplied by the board value accumulated in that particular case. So in this case, yeah, there are 2 cards accumulated here. I think the two for this particular. Okay, so so that is that about Abuakudn Okerio and Abuakudn Okerio. Do you understand? And how it enables the player to draw the game and win the game. So, and I think we are done for today. So subsequent video we look at other operations boarding operations and decks of play like the break-even deck and the leverager deck. So, but whether you are using the break-even deck or not, it has to be created. So to play a 2-player game, you just use one deck, just as we just used. But if you want to play a 3-4-player game, you have to 6-player game, you have to double it. So you have to like use 2 of these. So you like get 2 and use. Yeah. So but for a non-diminishing decking, which we just played, this one is for non-diminishing decking. So it just uses one decker, while for the diminishing decking, you can play 3-player game with it. A 3-player game can be played with just one decker. One of these can, just as we did in a diminishing decking, can contain a 3-player game. So, but mainly if it is a non-diminishing decking, which we just did, is a 2-player game, and I will always recommend you start with a 2-player game. So that is that for today. Yeah, thanks for watching.